on the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast, brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Shields, we're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. University of Iowa Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
This week, Iowa Athletic Director Gary Barta concluded a 17-year run of service in the department. Beth Goetz was named Interim Athletic Director upon Barta's departure, which officially happened August 1st. You could call it an administrative roller coaster ride for Goetz, a former Interim AD at Minnesota, and then Director of Athletics at Ball State. Goetz was brought to Iowa City by Barta nearly a year ago as Deputy Director of Athletics and Chief Operating Officer. A one-time Division I athlete, All-American, assistant, and then head coach, and now athletic director at Iowa. Many feel that Goetz is the rational choice to replace Barta. Beth Goetz speaks into the Fight for Iowa podcast microphone this week. The show is sponsored by Shields, Athletico, UIHC, and Iowa Corn.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, you deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I have some exciting news to share. At Wahlburgers, we are all about bringing the family together to enjoy a great meal and have a great time. That's why right now, for a limited time, kids eat free every day at all Hy-Vee Wahlburger locations. Kids 12 and under can enjoy one free kids meal with any purchase of an adult burger, sandwich, or entree salad.
Bring the family to Wahlburgers and the Wahlburgers and Hy-Vee stores, where right now, kids can eat free.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
This time of year, the Iowa campus is filled with anticipation and excitement, with students set to return, including athletes, in particular football, volleyball, and soccer, whose seasons are first out of the gate. Having been here since September of 2022, Beth Goetz began what she hopes will be a long run as permanent leader of the Hawkeye Athletic Department on August 1. And she starts every day the way she has been.
It's really just making sure we're prepared to continue to build on the success we have and get things in order as we welcome our fans back to campus.
How comforting is it to understand how Gary Barta works? He assembled this staff of solid soldiers that you now will oversee. Matt Henderson, Barbara Burke, who is your predecessor, Marcus Wilson. Has to be comforting knowing that you've got a lot of veterans that you can lean on some strong shoulders.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Barbara Burke's she retired as well, so we did lose, a lot of experience here. But I think that, even though I've only been here a short time, just getting to know the team, knowing how well they know Iowa, how well they know our culture, our policies, our processes, it's just has been an incredible advantage. I think anytime you start someplace new, sort of having that background and getting to know those people and how they operate, and it's a really great team. And I know in addition to the administrative staff you mentioned, I mean, you've got a veteran group of talented, experienced, and Hall of Fame level coaches, and so that's you're walking into a situation where you've got a lot of great success and experience, and so you feel really good about that.
It must help too, Beth, that you've been a Division I star athlete, you've been a coach. You've been a Division I athletic director at previous stops. How has that helped you as you enter this new role?
Well, I really appreciate that you said star athletes.
You noticed how I got that in there.
I do. I'm not sure my college coach would phrase it just like that, but yeah, I do think it does allow me to have a little bit of a different perspective, just because I've had an opportunity to sit in sort of each seat along the way. And it doesn't mean you know exactly how everybody's experiencing that today, but you can empathize, and you know what it's like to put on the uniform. You know what it's like as a coach to celebrate a moment's success or lose a big recruit, and then obviously in the administrative track, you see a lot of things along the way. So you rely on your experiences that I've had at the other institutions, and my time sitting and serving as the AD or an interim athletic director previously at Minnesota. But I think those experiences help, and then you rely on a great team around you, and feel really prepared to help guide the program over the next couple months.
Now, it's been about a year. Gary Barta hired you at that time. You were the deputy director of athletics and the chief operating officer. As a professional role model, what impressed you during your time working alongside Gary and in your decision-making process to accept this post at Iowa?
Yeah, from the outside, Gary's been engaged in so many things across the national landscape, and that was, a lot of the interaction, some as the athletic director here at Iowa, but certainly his time on the Division I Council, and everybody knows he was on the CFP, so he's spoken into a lot of national issues, and he's just been incredibly, I think, his example whether we're at national meetings and how he speaks into topics has always been really measured and thoughtful, and so that was really intriguing to get a chance to work more closely under his leadership, and certainly we've gotten to hear a lot of this over the last month or so since he made his announcement. But he's so well respected for his character, the way he goes about his business, doing things the right way, and Iowa's had a lot of success over the last year, and he's the first one to tell you during that 17 years that that there are a lot of people that contributed to it, but he certainly led that and was a piece of all that's been accomplished here over that time.
You mentioned he served as not only on the College Football Playoff Committee, but as its chair. You've served on a number of NCAA committees, in division, including the Division I women's basketball group. Do you want to continue that kind of involvement nationally, given your new duties as you transition, covering 22 sports?
Well, I think the job requires, whether you're doing external things or not, but to be able to juggle and engage in a lot of different things at once. And so whether in a formal way or not, we're always engaged on a national level if you want to make sure you're up to date and navigating what might be coming, down the road, whether that's from a legal standpoint or conference initiatives, et cetera. In the short term, my focus is 100% on making sure I continue to support, our staff and student athletes and coaches here. Long term, I think everybody has to decide for themselves if there's a point in time where they feel like they not only personally have the bandwidth to take that on, but to make sure that they feel like their department's in a place where they have leadership when you're pulled away from that. But there's a lot of benefit and to doing that in many ways for both the institution and for a committee to have Iowa's voice be in those positions. But in the short term, all I want to do is dive in as deep as I can and just be ingrained with Iowa Hawkeyes every day.
Well said. We'll come back and wrap it up. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast with Interim Athletic Director Beth Goetz, and more with Beth in just 1 minute.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
We all love a good win. Catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/Iowans win.
You don't have to go to the game to get a game program. You can download it now by visiting the game day page on HawkeyeSports.com. That's right, the game program is now digital and it's free. So check it out. Get the roster, the stats, and fascinating stories about today's matchup. Just go to HawkeyeSports.com and click on Game Day.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Welcome back to our Fight for Iowa podcast. Our special guest this week is Interim Athletic Director Beth Goetz here of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Beth, transfer portal, conference realignments, billion-dollar television contracts, all that facing the Big Ten and its future. What excites you in your new role? And as you look down the road, what gives you a little heartburn?
Yeah, well, I think, the first thing is you always want to be at a place that's leading and has the opportunity to have, a lot of success, which Iowa has, and I know will continue to because it's surrounded with great, it's got great people and leadership from across campus to, as we talked about before, with our coaching staff. And because of that, regardless of the changes, I think we're very well positioned to together figure out how to navigate that and to ensure that we're going to leverage the strengths here at Iowa and be the best version that Iowa can be in any realm. And I think that version is going to allow us to compete for championships across all of our sports and to do that regardless of what the landscape looks like.
We've just got through, we'll always celebrate, of course, but 50 years of Title IX, women's athletics, what a great step forward. The University of Iowa is at the very forefront, as you know, led by Dr. Christine Grant. That must make you very proud to be at an institution like this.
Oh, it absolutely does. And it's, one of maybe many examples where I think Iowa has been forward-thinking and ensured that everybody had great opportunities to achieve in the classroom and on the fields of competition. But, certainly as a young female, you grew up hearing a lot about Iowa, the University of Iowa, Iowa basketball and the high school associations. I mean, so it's a privilege to now be a part of that team and to get to see firsthand what it's all resulted in after that period of time. And I know we're all anxious to see what it's going to be in the next 50 years.
I've seen you at a lot of football practices in the short year you've been here. You're involved. You walk the walk, talk the talk. When do you get together with the coaches collectively? Can you do that? It's seemingly impossible. You got one sport going on over another, but it's all about to launch again for 2023.
Yeah, we, you do a lot of it, been doing a lot of it individually in terms of engaging specifically with all of our head coaches. But we will get together as a group in August. And so right now you hope if they're not on the practice field or out recruiting that they're getting some time. So important for them to try and, get some time with their family and get away if they can. But in August, I think we've got our first head coaches meeting where hopefully we'll have most of them together at once. But it's it's great to not only clearly there's business you have to do, so you want to be able to talk as a group, talk individually, and make sure you're supporting what they need. But being out with them, when they're doing their thing. Selfishly being able to get out of practice, watch the kids compete, watch what the coaches do, how they organize things. That's fun. It's the same reason you're out there as well, but it really gives you a feel for how hard they work and what the excitement is to come. So I'll be anxious to continue to do that this fall with football for sure, and of course across all of our other sports. So we'll factor that into the schedule because it's one thing you don't want to miss.
Caitlin Clark, Spencer Lee, Luca Garza. You've had a small sampling. I know Luca was gone when you arrived, but and I bring this up because of the coaches here at Iowa. What a great job they do recruiting, and all the kids that don't get their names in the paper every day. They're special people, fun to watch. Close to 700 student athletes. That must warm your heart.
Oh, it sure does. I mean, really, it's just amazing. Not only the level of athlete that we've recruited here, but these stories, and you know better than I do. I mean, having the chance to talk to these young men and women over the years, and certainly the ones that I've been watching in my short time here. I mean, they are just, they're incredibly remarkable, and equally or more remarkable off the fields of competition. And so how our coaches must go about really identifying them as being a great fit, and their character and their willingness to be great teammates. I mean, it's, you just look across this group, and it's, you know, you can pick these big names and stars that we have, which is amazing and a tribute to them, but it's a tribute to all their teammates, because that's who the Hawkeyes attract. And I mean, you know, what a great thing to be a part of. And I know our fan base is counting down the days so they can see all of them competing here as we kick off the 2023 year.
Yeah, add in the Murray twins and Megan Gustafson and Monica Sonano and Jordan Bohannon.
You know, there's a lot of things we talk about today in college athletics, but at the end of the day, that's always a piece of a puzzle, and the most important component for them is that they find the right fit, a major that's going to work for them. They see and hear from our coaches how important that part of this is, that this is, they want them to be equally successful in their sport as we do in the classroom. But it just, you know, we've got such a wide range of just outstanding majors for them to choose from. And, you know, and you've got a campus that embraces that passion of theirs as well as their athletic passion. So, you know, that's just not a better fit for most of them.
Goetz is busy lining up group and individual meetings with coaches and staff. And like Gary Barta before her, Iowa football offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz will report directly to Beth Goetz. Back with more Fight for Iowa after these important messages.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you. Because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
Hey, Hawkeyes fans, the wait is over. The Iowa men's and women's basketball teams are back on the court, and Shields has everything you need to cheer on your favorite players all season long. Take your game day gear to the next level with Shields Fan Shop. We have an unmatched lineup of gear, including jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more to help you show off your team colors. So gear up, Hawkeyes fans, and celebrate all season with Shields, a proud partner of Iowa basketball and hoops fans everywhere.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Hawkeye football will host its annual Kids Day at Kinnick Stadium Saturday, August 12th. There will be an open to the public practice at noon with gates swinging open at 11. There will be activities in Krause Plaza beyond the south end zone. That starts at 10. This year's Kid Captains will be in attendance, too. The day is sponsored by the Stead Family Children's Hospital, Alliant Energy, Chick-fil-A, Delta Dental of Iowa, and Shields. The Iowa-Nebraska football rivalry at the end of the season has a new sponsor for the Heroes game. Welcome aboard Pioneer, the flagship seed brand of Corteva Agriscience, the world's leading supplier of plant genetics. Pioneer is headquartered in Johnston. Iowa-Nebraska collide the day after Thanksgiving at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. That's this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. I'm Gary Dolphin. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks again to Interim Athletic Director Beth Goetz. And as always, go Hawks.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa, and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.